What's up, everyone? Tony here at Hollywood Cold Case, and today we're bringing you a video about the life and death of a sex symbol. We are going to cover the all too brief life of Miss Marilyn Monroe. Now, as you've seen my prior videos, we went into murder mysteries, we went into suspicious deaths, and it's hard to say if we're looking primarily at mysterious deaths. The passing of Marilyn Monroe is, by all means, probably one of the most suspicious we've probably ever seen. Many have speculated for years. It's been topic of movies and documentaries. But what really happened in the life of Marilyn Monroe? Many ponder the fate of this prominent 1950s sex icon, well-known blonde stunner. Did she commit suicide at her mansion in Hollywood? Did she overdose by accident? Or was the cause of death more sinister than the tabloids could have ever imagined? Marilyn Monroe famously remarked, "I'm good, but I'm not an angel. I commit sin, but I'm not Satan. I'm a small girl trying to find someone to love in a great big world." Marilyn Monroe was not always known as Marilyn. She was not always the famed icon of sexual desire that she was in the 1950s, or that she's viewed as today. She wasn't romanticized in the sexualized depiction of a blonde bombshell the 1950s saw her as. Norma Jean Mortensen was a young girl born into unfavorable circumstances who battled much to achieve whatever excellence she had in her life. The story of Norma Jean Mortensen is where Marilyn Monroe's story began, thus marked the beginning of life, fame, and fortune, and garnering the attention of millions. Her sudden rise as a Hollywood sex siren, which had negative impact on the rest of her life and even the perception of her untimely death. Norma Jean Mortensen was born in Los Angeles, California on June 1st, 1926, only a few years before the onset of the Great Depression. Her father was unknown to her, and her mother was sent to a mental institution when she was a little child. This put Norma Jean in the hands of the foster care system, an orphanage, and eventually, in 1937, the Mortensen's friends, the Goddard family. For several years, despite receiving $25 a week from Norma Jean's mother to raise her, the Goddards had treated her as their own. Mortensen was unable to participate in many popular activities, such as going to the movies, due to the family's strong religious and conservative values. In 1942, however, Mr. Goddard was offered a job in another state. The family couldn't afford to move Norma Jean with them. This forced Norma Jean back into the foster care system and ultimately altered the trajectory of her life. At age 11, Norma Jean Mortensen was raped while in the custody of the foster care system. After the Goddard family abandoned her at the age of 7, and she was placed in multiple foster homes, she was abused, she was raped, and she became an object at an early age. Due to her anguish, Norma took matters into her own hands and determined that she wouldn't remain in the foster care system much longer. Mortensen stopped attending school at the age of 15. A year later, she did the only thing she believed she could do in the 1940s to leave the orphanage early, begin living on her own terms, and avoid the sexual abuse. She got married in 1942. She married her boyfriend, Jimmy Doherty. Norma Jean's marriage to Doherty marked the beginning and her new life and the birth of Marilyn. While Jimmy Doherty was serving as a merchant marine in the South Pacific, Norma Jean Mortensen had been discovered by a photographer while working in a munitions plant. Norma Jean became a model by the time Doherty returned after a total absence of 4 years. When her husband returned home, he learned that Norma Jean Mortensen had legally changed her name to Marilyn Monroe in order to pursue an acting career. Shortly after Doherty's return from the Merchant Marines, Monroe's life started to change drastically. The pair grew apart. The couple divorced in 1946, the same year that he returned. Norma Jean secured her first film contract and role as Marilyn Monroe at the end of 1946. She began to use her new name and color her hair blonde. Marilyn hadn't garnered significant public attention throughout the first 5 years of her acting career. It took till 1950 to obtain a role that would set her on the fast track and achieve immense fame. When Marilyn Monroe won a role in John Huston's 1950 crime film, The Asphalt Jungle, she began to receive a great deal of attention based on her likability and her beauty. Marilyn was finally on the fast track to popularity due to the big audience she was bringing in to her film releases and her growing number of followers and accolades. Her fame helped her gain roles in such films as All About Eve in 1950, Niagara 1953, as well as Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, musical comedy in which she co-starred with legendary Jane Russell. It was during this time she became the sex symbol she's remembered as today. She's becoming well known not only for her hourglass figure and assets, but for her Old Hollywood discovered a new object of admiration, evident in about. The audience was able to prioritize Marilyn's image then transitioned into her acting. With her likability, she was very popular and loved by millions. She was often described as being the bombshell. However, Marilyn didn't have an easy time with this, not just her short life in general, but with this newfound fame. Many of her anxiety difficulties originated from her relationship with her mother and her terrible upbringing. She suffered from pre-performance nervousness, which caused her to become physically ill. This caused her to have a number of problems for the sets she was signed up for. Marilyn's repeated parties contributed to a strain and at times mystic relationship with co-stars who were forced to deal with her anxiety and displays. Producers and directors were frequently exasperated with the atmosphere due to her persistent stage fright and anxiety. Monroe was frequently unable to handle the stress and anxiety associated with the film, resulting in her being signed on and off a number of films. The anxiety associated with performing really added to Marilyn's ongoing depression, which she fought primarily during her later years. During this phase of her life, Monroe appeared sick and bored, only being selected for light blonde rings. Marilyn then moved to the city to work with Miss Strasberg, a renowned acting coach and method teacher. In 1955, Monroe was introduced to Strasberg. These Strasberg acting techniques revolved around emotional range. His methods, actors employed their own emotions to give a better performance. By doing so, they can make the performance appear more authentic and believable to the audience. Marilyn came to Strasberg so she might be regarded as a more serious actress and get better actors during a time when she was typecast for her sexual activity. Marilyn supposedly very complex relationship with Strasberg, where she felt that she was consummated. However, Marilyn's training with Strasberg seemed to actually pay off in the long run. She was able to secure many better roles in Hollywood films due to her skill. This allowed her to attain a new level of popularity. Monroe still had her moments during this time period, evidenced by her absence from the set of things to show her, when her unpredictable behavior made her supposed to feel uncomfortable in multiple stories. This uneasiness is evident and hinders the film's performance in the United States. Surprisingly, however, in the blockbuster film Some Like It Hot, comedy from 1959, the downward spiral is on the horizon. Marilyn was sacked from the set of Something's Gotta Give in 1962 for missing too many days of filming due to her illness. This illness may be related to Monroe's performance anxiety. Both Monroe's life and her box office success were beginning. The last two films she released, Let's Make Love in 1960 and Misfits in 1961, in which she co-starred with Clark Gable, didn't perform well in the films. Since her fame began, Marilyn's romantic relationships likewise declined. This may have also contributed to the despair she faced in her In 1954, she married Baseball Hall of Fame legend Then in 1956, she married the rival whom she stayed married to until 1961. Both marriages were significantly impacted by Monroe's anxiety and hectic lifestyle. In the meantime, Marilyn Monroe sang Happy Birthday, Mr. President on the day prior to her death. 4 months also after Marilyn started speculating their relationships with both John and Robert Kennedy. The combination of Monroe's relationship with all of these men and their image in the public eye put death to social suspicion. Marilyn Monroe passed away in August 1960 in her Los Angeles home. A bottle of alcohol was discovered close to her body. The death was officially ruled to be for decades, however. Many speculated for partners of time. Others feel that Marilyn's overdose was suicide due to her. There are additional rumors that Monroe was murdered, even a psychiatrist for that matter. All have been wildly speculated over the years. Now, this continues, and there's obviously no end to that possible conspiracy theory come about over the years. Monroe's image and the section romanticized. Marilyn Monroe's life and personality priorities so much more than just her physical appearance. She was really never the stupid or the ditz that we perceived to be over the years. She had an awful upbringing, full of misdirection, bad decisions. All this made her a very complicated person. Monroe's demise may have resulted in a moment most the most respectful way to honor this. Marilyn Monroe died of a drug overdose. Years for that in itself, horrible and tragic ways. You see the end of an icon to this day is still viewed for her beauty and appearance, not just that, but the impact she made in Hollywood in such a small state. What do you think of that? Leave a comment down below. So that about wraps it up for this edition of Tony will be back with more videos in the near future. Maybe another one today, maybe another one tomorrow. We'll see. I thank everyone for tuning in. Appreciate that. Give me a like, subscribe for even more content.